I was like, man, this is really happening.
Your journey just amazes me. When I first started seeing you, you worked for someone else. And then I followed you when you worked for someone else. And then I followed you again when you...
Stalking me.
I am. When I saw that, it was the Instagram video you posted carrying your son,
Yes.
Riker, around and doing the tour.
Yes, and I cried like a big baby.
We're in the salon, it's being painted, and it's starting to feel really real. I can't believe it. How Papas? It looks like a salon. Yes. This is crazy. I'm crying.
Tell me about that, because this has been a dream of yours for a long time.
I was walking around with Riker that day when we were like mid-renovation, and I had this moment where I was like, man, this is really happening. My husband now and I got pregnant unexpectedly. I thought that the trajectory that I was on in order to make my dream a reality and opening a salon, I thought that there was no way that it could happen for me. I just thought, I had this plan of what I wanted, and I thought that bringing a kid into the mix would just halt everything, because I think I'm just very much that kind of person that if I'm doing anything, I'm putting 100% into it.
So the whole path is, so you're working, you had a smaller place that you were renting a space,
Right.
And you could have given up completely looking, but you kept looking.
And I had so much self-doubt for so many months, and I was so depressed when I was pregnant at one point because there were some more blocks in the road that I hadn't anticipated. And, so many people just kept saying, like, just give it to God, like he's going to handle it. It's all supposed to, everyone gives you that advice of it's going to work out when it's supposed to. And, that just wasn't meant to be. But when you're going through it, it's really hard to listen to that advice. I kept driving past this building, and I passed it, and I saw that this really corny, big yellow for rent, sign on the side. And I was like, well, it just, something told me, God has been speaking to me for a couple years now, and I just listen anymore. I just don't even question it. And so he just told me to call. And so I called, and I was surprised at the rate. I thought for sure, like, oh, it's in North Canton. Like, I'm sure that there's no way I could afford it. I don't take as many clients as I used to since having Riker. So I didn't think that it would be doable. And then when he told me that, and it was, and then everything else worked out as far as, business loans and all that other fun stuff that you have to do when you're doing this stuff. And it just all kind of worked out. I couldn't imagine it have going any differently, just because I feel like because I'm a mom now and because I have a son, he gives me so much more to work for. As many times as I've moved salons, my stepdad's been there every single time, hanging stuff for me, because God forbid I learn how to use a hammer. And same thing with my husband. He's like the least handy person ever. He'll clean and stuff for me, But then meanwhile, my mom's around babysitting Riker so we can get stuff done, and not to mention the girls that work here as well.
You're also nursing a baby, then you're planning a wedding, you're still working on this place, You're still working. How did you manage all of that?
This was still priority, obviously, our son still priority, and so the wedding stuff, I've just never really been that girl that's like, hey, I'm planning my wedding, and it's going to be this, and it's going to be that, and at the end of the day, what matters most is that we're married, and the ones that we love the most are there to see it.
Your mom's been a big support, right? Is she as good, her story for you?
My mom's amazing. You're gonna make me all teary-eyed.
Sorry,
No, it's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
My mom's incredible because she really overcame a lot to get to where she is. And my biological father, he was abusive and left us, and it was her and I, and we would have to stay in the battered women's shelter sometimes, and she would work 2 jobs just to be able to pay her rent and feed me, and there would be days where she wouldn't eat. because she had to, make sure that I ate. So she is just the most generous, most selfless person. She will feed everybody she comes in contact with, maybe not home cooking because she doesn't have time for it, because at 54, she still works more than some people my age do. When you're younger, you're just like, I don't want to be like my mom. And there are even some days when my husband's like, oh my God, you're just like your mother. And some days I'm just like, ugh, nuh-uh. But then there are other days where I'm like, that is a compliment and I will take it and thank you, because she's amazing.
That's great. So now I think I'm understanding a little more, Haley, where that inner fire and strength comes from.
Yeah.
I knew your mom had overcome a lot, but I never knew that kind of detail. This is the whole point of her story, is kind of celebrating that strength in women and the fact that we can all help each other and learn from each other. And sometimes at the points in my life where I was like the lowest and felt the most insecure, it was always those women I looked towards. I mean, I remember one time I even read a book about some woman who survived in the West and was like, roping cows and stuff, which has nothing to do with my life. I'm like, oh my gosh, she could rope cows, I could get through this.
Absolutely, right. Or even like take it as a metaphor.
Right. So yeah, so if you want to rope some cows, keep watching. We're going to have more her stories coming up. Subscribe and comment and let us know about other her stories that you think we should talk about.